this button here and hit this button here and hit this button here and we're live and we have audio and hi everybody.
But are we live though? I don't see us live yet.
Can you see us live?
Oh, there we are.
Oh,
we
there
have
we
audio. We're good.
There we go. Cool. Now it's
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Discussing Tabletop. This is, in fact, it's probably not going to be as spectacular as I'm making it out to be, but this is episode 200 of this goddamn show I've done.
Oh, shit.
I know. So I called it the episode 200 Spectacular. But you say spectacular.
And we're just gonna talk about the same old stuff.
And we're just gonna
Let's
talk about
Stellaris for
we're just gonna complain about D&D some more.
Grumble, grumble, back in my day. Grumble, grumble, D&D, back in my day. I forgot to set up the docket. That's the one thing I forgot today.
Oh, no.
I know.
However will we survive?
I know.
What have you done?
What's
I'm just gonna mess around with stuff for a second to do that quickly.
Sorry, Fanatic Militarist is minus 20% robot upkeep, so it's a 25% discount if you have the Origin. Yeah, I was thinking of the other bonus.
See, we were talking Stellaris before we started.
Yeah, I mean, I have it open because I was checking things.
Yeah. But yes, so we're going to get through our group of topics, which we have a bunch of RPG-related topics with D&D Celebration coming up, Pathfinder Infinite being announced, 2 RPGs, Glitter Hearts and Diesel being available. Then there's Nancy Drew board game I'm going to talk about. WoW meets Pandemic we already talked about, but they're doing something weird. Ooh. And then there is another Star Trek game by Wizkids to talk about. And I'm just going to have to wait to put this deeper discussion topic in until I figure it out, because I'll figure it out a little later.
We'll just complain about 5e some more. Seems like we do that a lot every week.
I don't think it's the only thing we do. I mean, 5e, we complain about the bad things and talk about the good things. And
we also complain about Pathfinder adventures a lot.
I mean, Pathfinder is easier to complain about, I think.
Yes. Again, original first edition Pathfinder has huge things to complain about because goddamn freaking what's you call it 3.5 issues. They got rid of half of them, but not the other half.
Yeah, that's kind of a thing that happened.
I think the biggest problem with games like Pathfinder and 3.5 wasn't the mechanics themselves. It was how long they ran. They ran so long that they got so many source books that there was just so many broken combinations that you could do by just pulling source books that were never meant to intermingle with each other necessarily.
Yeah.
And obviously there's ways around that as a DM to curtail, but if you're the kind of person... If you're the kind of person like me who just wants their PCs to be able to do stuff, like break those combos if they want to, it's frustrating when these combinations can just sort of get out of hand. But that's just a factor. The fact that these games have run so long, have so many source books. I used to joke, me and my fiance, about the fact that in 3.5 and Pathfinder, every time you come up with a character concept, you could just do it better as a wizard. Because the spells make it so effectively you could just do anything any other class does, but better a lot of the time. Because you have more versatility. So you want to be a barbarian, just use the rage spell, and then on top of rage you can throw a fireball at someone. And what are they going to do about that? Like when you when something can't get axed when you're a barbarian, you're just done. That's it. Yeah. Barbarian's over. If you can't axe somebody and you're a wizard who just has rage, you just throw a fireball at it and then you still win.
Oh darn, you're slightly out of reach. I guess I'll cast fireball instead.
I think there's a lot of that we've talked about how Paizo does a lot of product diarrhea, as almost you could call it. They just blurt things out, and it's just crazy. But maybe that'll be a thing to talk about, the unusualness of 3.5 Pathfinder.
Put it on the list. The list grows.
Well, I already had third verse 3.5, which I've got to refresh myself on the differences on that one before we talk about that.
I'm gonna be useless on that one.
But so let's first talk about our topic of D&D Celebration 2021. It's a spectacular, just like ours.
Is it though?
No. It takes place the 23rd to 26th. It's they're doing previews on the 20th for a while that they've announced. Like, they're doing a preview, I guess. I think it's on their Twitter page, on their Twitch thing or somewhere. They're doing the Fizzbands, Dragons, Wild Beyond Witchlake, and Strixhaven. And then, on the 23rd, it begins, which it's weird because it's like... I think D&D Celebration has always been virtual, but they do it so weirdly from year to year. I gotta be honest, I don't think any year has been the same. They just don't know what they want to do. It's like this year I feel like they're doing it a lot more... We're now like a convention, but we're one of those online conventions that have been happening because of the pandemic. Woo! While, like...
Yeah. Looks like it's just a bunch of panels and stuff.
Yeah, like, I can remember a previous year where it was just, like, some announcements, some stuff on Twitch, and then it was them, like, hosting a whole bunch of different, like, live show gameplays, that they were showing off, like, all these different people and, like, highlighting some streamer groups that there was. Because I can remember Scott Dalerick, he went there with a group of people, and that was, I think, the D&D Celebration that they did.
So I'm really glad you brought that up, because I actually have very strong opinions on this one topic, because I also attended that thing that
I couldn't remember everybody that went. Yeah.
I attended as a person who was not part of the talent. I bought a ticket and I just went to it.
Okay.
And it was terrible. I hated it. And so I'm so glad that they're doing this entirely online, because that was my problem with it, is that the sort of live play D&D aspect of it is terrible to do when you're in like an audience. It doesn't have any of the same stuff. You don't see the boards, you don't see any of the die rolls that are happening. You have to hope that the people are just like able to carry a good story enough to keep your attention.
Weird.
See,
but
I was gonna say, I think this is one of the differences between, I guess, what Wizards did and, I'm sorry, PAX. PAX does those shows, but does it great, because they basically, the very cameras that they're using to do on Twitch, they have big screens that are showing it off. So you can see the die rolls, and you can see this, and they have, like, cameras above everybody's dice areas, shit like that.
I'm gonna mention it, but Critical Role, everyone's favorite D&D podcast, they do live shows, and they film the board and have it on a big screen behind them.
Wizards can't figure that out.
No, I guess not. Also, I'm gonna watch one of these because it's got Matthew Lillard on it, and I love Matthew Lillard.
I agree with that. That I can totally get behind and support of. Anything that's Matthew Lillard, I'm just sort of in. But I feel like this is just a vast improvement over having actual physical live shows, because I don't think that Wizards of the Coast, for some reason, even though they have all the resources in the world, all the people who have done this correctly are in their scope of people to pull in to get this right. I don't think that they have it together to put like an actual good live show together. So I think doing it live on Twitch means that it's just built-in resources that they're able to get together and make it like an actual entertaining show to watch. And they could probably have much more reasonably priced admission fees, because the admission to D&D Live was not reasonably priced, even when you're considering convention ticket pricing. Like, I understand the conventions are expensive, but there's ridiculous.
It's just so much better to do these things online, even like a normal gaming convention. It's just better to do it online.
Well,
at this point.
Well, I think there is something to, like, a physical convention. There always will be, and there are certain things that, certainly something like, I would say, like, PAX Unplugged, where, yes, you do have the RPG aspect of it, but you've got the board game aspect of it, and getting people physically on a board game is a lot better than, like, and is what's needed, unless you're, like, because, yes, you could do something on Tabletop Simulator, or you could create a virtual game, but that's not your physical board game that you worked on. You're working on something else and your physical board game, So, definitely, I don't know. It's like, we had Gen Con, we had PAX West, and I haven't heard terrible things about either of them, but I'm also not sure about either of them, kind of thing, you know? It's good that they're going online, but again, like, I feel like it's also, like, I'd honestly forgotten about that, like, section of people that were live until you talked about it from that D&D Celebration you went to, and I'm like, oh yeah, there were some people there. And then I'm thinking about it more, I'm like, again, they don't know what they want their D&D Celebration to be. Just, like, if you do this, an online event for it once a year, great. Just stick with that, please.
Yeah, like, this works so much better online.
So, let me point out my thing that I think is the best out of this is the play section where you can register to do online games, because I think that is like the hugest draw of any Dungeons and Dragons convention is playing Dungeons and Dragons with people you've never met before. It's going to a table, cool, sitting down and play and sharing this hobby that we all have, this strange, lovely hobby that we all have at a table with just random strangers. That is the best part about these D&D things. That's the part that it gets missed out by not having these conventions in person anymore. And I think the fact that they're making it a priority in this one is going to lead towards its success. We're going to have a better convention because of the fact that they're leaning in on it. It's the second thing. It's literally the first thing past the homepage when you look at the D&D Celebration thing. So they're really pushing that. I like the DM challenge. I don't know if you guys checked that out at all. It's kind of a cool thing where they're like doing like they picked a group of dungeon masters that they're kind of doing like these little challenges for them, and they're down to the last 3 contestants.
See, that's neat. That I guess that's like. They're trying to improve it. And I'm actually really happy that they're doing that, you know? So definitely they're going in the right direction with their idea of their online convention. So good for Wizards. It took them like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, but they're getting there. They're getting there.
They'll get there eventually.
They'll get there eventually.
Plus, I'm also kind of excited about the Wild Beyond the Witchlight. That looks really fun.
Doing charity with this as well.
Yes, that's true.
For Extra Life. Also, yes, I am excited for that book, and I'm probably gonna run it.
Tuesday?
I don't know, but I love weird face shit. So,
Pathfinder, well, Paizo has basically announced at Gen Con. They're basically doing something that's kind of like a community content thing, which it's supposed to be. Pathfinder, Starfinder Infinite, and beginning on October 13th, their basically content creators are able to sell adventures, fiction, setting supplements, rules expansions, maps, art packs, and more using Paizo's intellectual properties. Meaning that they could make official things for Pathfinder and Starfinder and sell them through there. I'm guessing there's probably going to be like a percentage fee back to Paizo, but honestly, this is maybe not a bad idea, because it's like, I could write and create a Pathfinder adventure, sell it on their site. I might not get the full thing, but I'm getting it into a store that people will be checking, kind of thing, you know? I guess it's how... I feel like it's it could go bad, but it's like the hopes of some of the like storefronts and Steam and stuff that were trying to do like indie games and stuff. They've worked certainly in certain ways and not other ways, and I would hope that this would work in that way, but I don't know. You never know.
Being hosted by the people who host the DM Guild.
Okay.
Which is where you can get a bunch of third-party 5e stuff.
Okay.
Yes, that was what I was going to mention, is that the DM's Guild is actually a really good resource that is basically this exact same thing, but for 5e. And I think that this is just a great way for them to keep content rolling out. It supports smaller time content creators, which is always a good thing. It lets people who are incredibly creative but might not have the avenues to get into WotC put out these like pieces of additions to the game that just make the gameplay better. The supplements that they put out, the reskins of stuff, and they're able to do so. At least the Dungeon Masters Guild, from what I understand, they can actually use like licensed WotC art from like Magic the Gathering and other like.
Well, this is Paizo
as part of their stuff.
So it's going to use the Paizo.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. This is
the WotC art was for the other one. Oh, okay.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what they're doing with the DM Guild. I'm not sure if that's what Paizo is doing exactly. I sort of skirted the article a little bit. It doesn't it doesn't really mention like that kind of stuff.
They do say use official Pathfinder and Starfinder settings that reference our locations, organizations, characters, deities, and more. I don't know about the art, but like everything else, like you could be like, hey, this thing in this book, I can reference it legally in the content I'm creating, because a lot of times, like a lot of the third-party stuff, it doesn't talk about the things, you know, it kind of skirts the, world setting. And now it's sort of like, well, you can just use our world setting and mix it a little. It's like people being able to build in Forgotten Realms and being like, oh, now there's town, like, now I can be El Salvador and make up shit for Forgotten Realms and add it into the canon. Ha ha! Fuck you, Dritz.
Look, you leave Dritz alone, alright? He's got a new book, and there was a video game with him and his friends.
We don't talk about the video game, though. We don't talk about that.
This also might be something good for someone who is not great on their own world building, but is a good writer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
World building's not easy.
I don't mind world building, but I like also avoiding world building if I can, because it's just.
Hi, how you doing?
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. I love world building. World building is my favorite part about DMing.
Oh,
my least favorite part is when you losers just come in and start mucking up my world.
Look,
it's a nice world I built, and you people are sticking your fingers in the pies.
I love world building. The problem is, I know from experience, I go too in depth. I go crazy when it comes to world building, way too crazy, and I'm very bad at stopping myself. That's why I try to avoid world building, because I know I'll get into that.
Would you two be interested in pro bono work in creating setting-specific things for a certain person?
I'm always down to work on projects just for fun, because I just like building world stuff. Anyways, yeah. So I think that anything that gives resources to smaller creators to build stuff inside your world only benefits the publisher, especially in this case where they're going to get a cut of that, and on top of that, it's going to make their game last longer, because the fact is that they can release all the stuff that they want. Eventually, it's just going to be trash, just because they're going to run out of ideas. They're not going to have anything else. They're going to be expanding on other stuff, and this will allow people who want to play Pathfinder First Edition to keep doing that and get some additional supplements that Paizo doesn't have to work on. They can just continue to work on Pathfinder Second Edition stuff, and this can fuel First Edition continue to have like a strong presence, and that's going to be like a nostalgia game for a lot of people. That might be a game that they started on.
And honestly speaking, I think they could probably move into Second Edition at some point. And then the other thing I thought about for all of this is, one of the interesting things that they might be able to do is they might use this as almost like a weird play test for ideas they didn't have. So maybe I create a class and I sell like a little thing on it online for like, $1 or something, and if they come down the line, they're like, hey, we want to like, purchase your class to put it in an official book. They could maybe do that. I don't know if they would.
Depending on the licensing, they might be able to do that without paying you anything extra. That's another thing that people really want to look into. If anybody is going to use the service, be very careful about signing away your intellectual property, because you could be poorly compensated for an idea that might be, you do gangbusters numbers, and they got to throw it in one of their books and then comp you
get nothing.
Shit. So yeah, always be careful. I like to believe the best in people, but when it comes to companies, I do not trust them.
The corporate world is ruthless.
you should not either. I don't care if you like it, if you like the companies. I love Wizards of the Coast. I love Paizo. I played tons of their games. I love Magic the Gathering, but I don't trust them as far as I could throw them, which is not far because they are a nebulous concept. They are
Wizards is pretty
not a tangible thing.
Wizards
exactly. Can't throw those.
Wizards is pretty awful with their like dark corporate overlords of Hasbro, and then like it's sort of like I like a lot of what Steve Jackson Games do. They're really stupid. They do a lot of dumb choices, and I don't trust them to do anything smart. Paizo, I put in the middle ground. I can see them going either way, honestly, because they've done some dumb decisions and some okay decisions.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So Pathfinder and Starfinder Infinite are it's going live October 13th of this year. So I mean that's when you can start doing everything, and you can like connect up with them already. I think you can go to their sites, either of them, and like sign up for the newsletter, look into like they've got a community content template you can download, and you can read about the programs. So the read about the programs, I'm like looking over it. I don't know if that's got the full license. Yeah, they do have the ownership and licensing question page there. So they do have one of those. But anyway. So, they do, okay, anyway, so, I mean, they do throw into here that, like, you retain ownership of any unique IP you create in the publications.
Like I said, you have to
really read through this. You have to really read through this entire shit. There's like a lot of stuff.
Because right now we're just working off of like a news article. Once they launch the site and everything up, definitely read.
When the site launches, there will probably be a very long legal page to read.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be using it, you should read it.
Yes.
And here's the D&D Celebration. I forgot to link that in chat.
You should absolutely read things concerning copyright law.
So, I think I talked about this a long time ago when it was on Kickstarter.
We did talk about it.
Glitter Hearts.
Yeah, I remember this
Not
one.
Diesel, but it's actually out and you can get it, in physical form, I guess now?
It's on Drive-Thru RPG and itch.io.
They got it. I linked it on the Japanime Games site.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Drive-Thru RPG though.
Yeah. I linked the Japanime Games website one. It's a magical person.
I specifically remember the cover art of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too, because it really stands out.
the very pretty looking guy with the beard without any clothes on. It just is like, yep, that's a thing that could happen. Yeah, he's just there.
That's the best magical girl.
He's the best magical boy of them all. No, I mean, like, they do a very interesting art about it. It's an interesting concept of it being like a transforming superhero world, and they, again...
It's magic girl anime, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's true. You only need 2 6-sided dice, 3 to 6 players, a few hours to say to play. I mean, that's like what they say for all RPGs. A few hours to play.
It depends on what story you're telling.
Yes!
Yeah, you can tell a single story in a few hours. But is that the entire story?
Oh, I don't know.
Or you could just do a one-shot and have it last 8 hours and want to just eat yourself out a window.
I like D&D, but I think 8 hours would be a bit much.
One-shots should not feel longer than like 4 hours.
They sometimes do, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. It happens.
In real life, long game is better than digital. Because, stand up, move around, get food, walk around.
Yeah.
You can take a break, go use the bathroom, walk around, eat food.
A lot easier to take those breaks.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad they found some success. Like, any RPG that I find having a relative level of success, that they get, like, something like PDFs, physical books, That's good. That's showing that they've definitely have a popularity and can have some life to them. How much life? Man, you never know, unfortunately, with a lot of games. That's kind of what I wanted to hit on with this one at very least. That, hey, cool.
It's out.
It's out.
Buy it now.
Yeah.
And you could get
it's a thing.
PDF or physical book. They've had. I'm guessing they delivered their stuff for the Kickstarter and gotten to that. But a newer RPG that we haven't talked about is Diesel, which is Cyborg Wild West.
I feel like we may have talked about this. It sounds
don't
familiar.
Remember it at all.
It did have a Kickstarter.
It could have been mentioned on a Kickstarter, but I don't remember this art either. Of the
I don't remember the art. No.
The crazy lady with the machine gun arm thing. Yeah.
Oh, it's Mad Max.
It's Western Mad Max.
I mean, Mad Max is
Mad Max meets
Western.
Cyberpunk, because the way that you so I'm reading down here, it says there's no player classes in the RPG. Each player creates unique characters by picking whatever body modifications they want. So I'm imagining you're basically going to be like that, like you see the character with like the machine gun arm, you're going to be basically building some sort of cyborg character, and apparently the Diesel is because all your characters run on like a diesel thing. So imagine it's going to be like Mad Max in a lot of ways, where you're going to be driving around trying to find diesel to keep yourself going.
Cyberpunk, Mad Max, apocalyptic Western. That is a weird and interesting combination.
Played the guitar guy from Mad Max Fury Road.
Sure, but you have to have a cowboy hat.
Hell yeah.
It's just like you put him in a cowboy hat.
Instead of heavy metal, it's just country music.
Yeah, you're just playing the like acoustic guitar. No one can hear you over the roar of engines. It's like, this is not as effective when I don't have the big amps behind me. I gotta be honest with you guys. It's just you hanging off.
It sounds like it's kind of designed to be a fast and loose kind of gameplay, where you just have a good time and do crazy stuff.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, and apparently, people can walk out of reality, what they call the frontier, the space between dimensions, and Diesels are the characters you are. You're basically created from a long-forgotten war. You're modified humans that run on diesel fuel that use discarded robotic parts to keep yourself going.
Yeah.
And there's an evil corporation that's trying to, I guess, go into this place between dimensions or something, where you are Mad Max, Fury Road.
Well, I mean, that's a
Firefly.
classic Western story, right? Someone wants to buy the frontier town because there's some, I don't know, gold mine or something.
I mean,
there.
if I click on the edge thing on the bottom, they've got this guy that's like a robot dude with a business hat, and I'm like, totally, that guy's like a corporate dude trying to buy out shit. But he's also next to this weird guy with dye worm on like a face shield. This is just, I don't know. This is just crazy, and I kind of like it in a crazy kind of way, Oh, they got quick play rules. That's cool.
Yeah, they're like $3.
That's not too bad. It's better when I like it better when they're free, but $3 is not bad. I mean, it's like if you want to try it out.
I'm going to. We should definitely check this out at some point. This looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah. So, we have a few more topics for our main topics, and one of them is Nacy Drew Mystery at Magnolia Gardens.
Oh shit.
I really only did this because when it came to Nacy Drew, I know that there's books, and then
There's a lot of books.
And then
I've had to move many of them, and they are heavy, and the box they are in is gigantic.
See, I've never read any of those kind of ones. I didn't do a lot of mystery books in my youth anyway, in general, so no mystery books in general. My experience nowadays is with the point-and-clicky video game series, because a couple people, maybe only one person that I occasionally watch sometimes does them. So I've seen parts of these Nacy Drew online video gaming ones, and I think one of my cousins played a bunch of them also and would get them for Christmas. So I'm like, it's a board game version of this.
Holy
Apparently
shit.
it's perfect for date night.
You're talking about the Mystery at Magnolia Gardens?
Yeah. I linked it in chat.
Yeah, I'm reading it now. Is this a board game? Because this website, the Hunter Killer, I don't know if you guys are familiar with what these guys do usually. The Hunter Killer guys.
Yeah.
They do like these box sets that are basically like mysteries, like running mysteries, and they do like seasons of them, but they'll send you like boxes you have to try to solve the mystery and stuff like that.
I think this is a form of board game that is like different. It's the mystery game, which like again like the fact is it kind of is a board game. It's not a traditional one. It's like you got those like escape room board games, which are certainly not traditional. You've got those. I think this kind of falls in line of it, or like the Host of Murder series, which I did, which was kind of like a board game meets a role-playing game, which was good, because Joe one time did How to Host unfortunately, because he bought it back when we were in high school, and we played it when we were like a decade after that, it was How to Host a Teen Murder, and we were all really terrible, like, sounding names that were like, each of our names sounded like a monster, and we were actually linked to like things. So like there was like a girl that was like Dr. Jekyll, or and something, and like I was a werewolf, and there was like Harry Bloodsoe, who was like totally a vampire and shit like that. And it was fun to do this little mystery game with us that you kind of role-played your character a little bit and investigated mystery. And I think that's kind of where it came from. These things that are like, I guess party game is a closer thing to it.
Yeah, this is more of like
more refined party game, I guess.
Thing.
Yeah, it's a thing that's like based on those party games, and it's somewhere in between a board game and a party game. But I mean, like, freaking like, Cranium is a party game, and it's also technically a board game in a way. But
it's a mystery / escape room.
Yeah,
but it's not a room. It's
a
bunch of information.
Yeah. I mean, it's neat. It's different. They might have more of these, because they say, like, it's from makers of Hunt a Killer, the world's #1 murder mystery subscription, and Death of a Dive Bar. Which Death of a Dive Bar just might be another thing they did.
Yeah, it's just another board game they did. It's I'm looking at it now. So basically it's like a story-driven board game.
Okay. So I guess they've gotten the Nancy Drew property and are doing that for their version of games. And honestly, it fits if they do these kind of like mystery games like this.
There are over 600 Nancy Drew books to pick from for stories, so I think they're sorted for content for a while.
Yeah. And honestly, they could always come up with stuff on their own, too, or, like, versions of things,
I mean, you're not playing Nancy Drew in this. You're assisting her with some mystery.
Okay.
Well, yeah, you can't be as cool as Nancy Drew.
No.
And it's not a bad price. It's only $30 for this game. So
1 to 5 players.
If that's what you're into, I'd say that this would be a pretty good way to get your fix.
I'm always for these kind of, like, weirder things.
I think this is one of those ones where... if you buy something like this, you have to have a couple of questions for yourself. That $30, how many players you're going to have? Like, how much is it worth it? Like, because, like, doing things like escape rooms and stuff, you really can only do them once, and you're physically there, too, and, like, if you can't physically get there, is there replayability? If not, is this your type of game? Like, you want to ask yourself a lot of questions for things like this, and again, like, the answers can often be yes, 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 and then you love it. Again, the answers could also be no, and then it's just like, if you're not into mystery-type stuff, honestly speaking, you're probably not going to want to spend that $30.
I wouldn't really play this, because I have 2 brain cells, and they're not good at mystery. So, not my thing, unfortunately.
I think I would like it. I don't know if enough to go to the $30 on my own. Like, if I was to split it with some friends or something, maybe I could see it then, Or if one of my friends would want to buy it and be like, we're going to do it, I'd be like, sure, why not, I think I'm kind of in the middle ground. I probably wouldn't buy it myself. Just because I also kind of probably have 2 brain cells, but I like trying to use them in interesting ways.
No, mine just don't want to be used.
Nah. That happens, though.
That's why you play 7 D&D games.
Look, okay. I don't play intelligence characters anymore.
Well, unfortunately, that's all intelligence characters.
Oh no.
Oops, all wizards.
For exclusive players, they've got hints and recaps, official Facebook group, and exclusive epilogue. And it looks like, I guess, you have to go to Amazon to buy it. That's where they're selling it at. I guess they're using Amazon storefront to make, because they're whatever reasons.
I mean, like, it's
easier.
Amazon's pretty easy to use.
Mm-hmm. That dog looks like he's got issues in that.
No, the dog's fine. Don't worry about it.
It's like derpy. Right. It's so like it's just got the eyes. It's just like staring off. It's like
the dog is trying its best, okay?
Anyway, let's talk WoW.
Oh no, do we have to?
Probably not, but we could. So
what
Z-Man...
abomination has happened now?
Z-Man Games is, in order to celebrate their World of Warcraft pandemic game, has a globe-spanning series of quests for players. They're doing a geocaching campaign to go along with World of Warcraft, Wrath of the Lich King, a pandemic system board game.
Talk today.
I cannot talk today. It's okay. I got the point across.
Wrath of the Witch Cream. That's a game right there.
I don't know if that's an appropriate game.
It's fine, don't worry about it. Don't think about it.
But yes.
I recognize one of these
geocaching?
Because I've seen her name before.
I guess you have to go to locations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah. It's a thing.
It's a scavenger hunt worldwide.
Okay.
During a time where you're really not supposed to go outside.
Yeah. Or go, or like go. Well, I mean, like I guess if they're like places that don't have
gatherings.
People. Oh, but wait, they're creating large gatherings by sending a bunch of people.
This will be creating large gatherings as you go and find these items that are in specific locations.
Like, I'm all about like being creative about the way that you advertise your game. I would say that these guys are starting from way behind, trying to market a fucking pandemic game in the middle of a pandemic. Yeah. But hey, let's bless up for these guys because they're trying their best. But at the same time, I feel like adding to that strain by directly causing what could be spreader events around the globe really is sort of stuffing not your foot in your mouth but down your throat and into your stomach.
Then putting someone else's leg down there.
Exactly.
I mean, you have to
marketing your pandemic board game by making the pandemic worse.
Yeah, I mean, how else are you going to enjoy your pandemic board game where it's all about, I guess, stopping an undead horde from taking over the world? Why does that feel like that's the worst possible thing? Because you're like, we've always been worrying about this horrible pandemic. Now you're like, there's totally going to be zombies too that are going to be a plague. How many people are this going to freak out?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like WoW, but I like Pandemic, so...
I do too, I agree. I from the other end, I do like WoW, but I also loved the storyline Wrath of the Lich King, and I did love the whole thing with the corrupted blood. I don't know if anybody knows the story about the corrupted blood that happened, but I won't go into it.
Have a story.
No, I'm not talking about the story of WoW. It's something like a bug that happened in the game that actually created the whole real event. Look up the corrupted blood incident. It's interesting. I won't go into it. It doesn't matter.
I recognize 2 characters in this list, Sylvanas and Jaina. Those are the only 2 WoW characters I know.
If you Google the incident, because it's something, basically a bug happened where something that a disease you could get in a dungeon was able to get outside the dungeon. It wiped a bunch of people. Yeah. So that's the interesting part of the corrupted blood. I don't give a shit about the actual corrupted blood story because World of Warcraft lore is just nonsense.
World of Warcraft does this thing where it puts important information in a book you have to buy, and they don't tell you about it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
my
I think
God.
that the geocache, I think it's bullshit.
It's terrible. No, but that reminded me.
These locations in the real world. Trust me, you'll be fine. Don't think about it. Buy our game.
Honestly, people who like World of Warcraft don't go outside. So
that's also
true. Who are you marketing to?
I have to assume, because it's plus geocaching, that there must be the geocaching like is this like a company? And they must have just had geocaching. Like, I feel like it's the opposite, that geocaching paid them to allow them to use it. Because I'm sorry, this is just so out there. Why would this company pay geocaching?
Why would, unless it was a lot of money, why would you agree to do that? Especially when you're marketing the game about a pandemic.
Yeah.
It's like...
It's a fantasy pandemic, but it's still a pandemic. I mean, come on. Oh, God.
So weird.
No, but this did remind me. I had a conversation with my brother about the awfulness of the third of the newest Star Wars trilogy, because like a bunch of the story stuff was again not in the actual movie.
Yeah, it was in like
it was either in Fortnite or in the fucking novelization of the movie.
There was a Fortnite event, and then there's like an art book which explains some of it.
Yeah, and I think the novelization included some too, like actually like gave
I'd
answers.
like to point to Final Fantasy 15, where they made an anime.
Oh God, yes.
And a book, a short graphic novel. If you didn't watch that or read the graphic novel when you started playing the game, you're like, what the fuck is going on?
To be fair, though, my reaction to Final Fantasy is usually, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, yeah.
But this was more what the fuck is going
It was
on,
extra what the fuck is going on.
Half of the game was missing.
It was extra what the fuck is going on.
15, I'll have to give half of 15 is also a hallway, so...
Well, that's because they spent all their money on making the first part of the game, and
they
then
spent all their money on the car segment.
Yeah, then the deadline came up, and they said, hey, are you done with this game yet? And they're like, wait, I thought we had like 6 more years. Like, no, it's due like next year. And they're like, oh crap.
So yeah, geocaching with World of Warcraft and pandemic.
Now extra plaggy.
now extra plaggy.
You can go catch the real plague.
Oh yeah.
Let's be trapped inside, where you can play the board game about a disease. Amazing.
Star Trek. It's a Fantasy Realms game, Star Trek Missions. Honestly, I remember hearing about Fantasy Realms. I don't remember what the fuck Fantasy Realms was. It's some...
You mean you get to kill people in Star Trek now? Or
no.
Oh, shit.
No.
Can I blow someone's head off with a phaser?
Only if it's the last resort. Have you attempted diplomacy?
He came right at me, I swear.
He was coming right at me.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit, there's a record card.
So this is like a deck building game?
It is. You get 50 galaxy cards, 24 mission cards, the score pad, the rule book for $20. It's a combo building game. Like I guess Fantasy Realms was. Effectively, like, I guess you have to create different combos from the cards in your hands to, like, overcome missions. And
sounds vaguely familiar to something you've played before, but also said that it was really terrible. I would hope this is a better version of that.
I don't know. That's the honest thing about it. I don't know. And it's like, I guess it is a competitive game because best combo scores the highest points and claims victory because you completed your mission with the less blown up heads.
Yeah, the least red shirts died on your mission.
Yeah.
Here's a medal.
It's like, I used Riker to finish my mission. You're like, I just used Data, and he was just too large and too logical on the entire thing.
Data
you have
was too fully
galaxy
functional.
Deck, a mission deck, or a discard area that you can put points into. So I wonder if certain cards, when they're discarded, they're worth points. But it sounds like you have to get one of them to whatever the victory points are and you win. Maybe you just blow up ships, you're a Klingon, you just destroy ships, and every ship you destroy is points, and that goes in the discard area. So if you murder everybody as a Klingon, you win.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It seems like there's like you get bonuses for certain cards played, and then they give other bonuses for like matching like symbol like groups, you know, like like someone might give you a bonus for having more Klingons, and others might have you a bonus for more Federation people.
Two example challenges they give you, like organizing a diplomatic conference or getting trapped on the holodeck.
Mm-hmm. Hey, there's mysterious there's mission mysterious plague, intruder alert. Do machines have rights? That's a great one.
No. Machines
Data has rights.
Data's not a machine.
Oh God, yeah, that's a thing.
True, Data's fully functional.
Yeah,
indeed, in all ways.
Always. No, I mean it's an interesting idea. Like, that's what I have to say about the entire thing.
It could be fun. I don't really like card games that much.
Yeah.
But it could be fun. I like Star Trek.
Yeah.
I think it could be interesting. It's sort of competitive because there's a point value.
Yeah, I think it's...
But it's not... it doesn't feel directly competitive.
Yeah, I think it's just, like, who can build the best hand. So you're not, like, doing anything to each other. You're just like, well...
yeah, you're not screwing each other over.
It's like Rummy.
Yeah.
With Star Trek.
Or I would say also more like, you know, something like, honestly speaking, something like a poker. You know, like that type of card.
Poker is not the same. Well, I guess it's similar.
The basic idea that I have to get the best hand, I think is what it is.
Yeah, but like in Rummy, there's things that are worth like points, like certain levels of straights, and you have a bigger hand you're working with.
You also don't have to get the best hand in poker.
Yeah,
there's another option called lying.
Yeah, that's
you can
true.
Bluff your way through it. Where in Rummy, you have to have.
Okay, so I guess it's closer to Rummy. I say then. I couldn't remember all of Rummy's stuff. That was the one I couldn't remember.
You get a lot of cards, or there's a tile version, which I think is funner. Because tiles are more.
Tiles are fun.
Yeah, we used to play it a lot with my family. I often lost. My mom was really good, and she would win a lot.
So, the Rummy of Star Trek games, if you're...
I enjoyed playing Rummy, so if it's the Star Trek version, that's cool.
I guess it's that same kind of thing, like, you want to match cards together that, you know, create the best point values, that give you the best score, and you're just knowing what to discard, what to draw, so it's a combination of luck and a little bit of, like, good choices, I guess.
The picture they used for Worf looks so derpy.
On
the stage.
Oh yeah, I see that.
Like, you got Riker and Picard, you know, they look fine, and then she's got Worf doing that face.
Yep.
The best.
He's he looks like he's gonna growl at someone or something. He's gonna go for him. But yes. So yeah. Fuck, I need a deeper discussion now. Damn it.
Oh no! Pull up the list.
We can't bring out the list.
I got the list here. I just hadn't chosen one.
Is that Clue in the background? Are you advertising Clue?
Oh, hey, yeah. No, actually, Clue just happens to stand out because that's a pile of old board games that were from my attic. I have below it the Marvel Superheroes, Memory, the Mad board game, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Pizza Power Game, Sorry, Scrabble, Hangman, Simpsons, Battle of the Sexes, and Pound Puppies.
That's a title that didn't age very well.
Oh, it did not.
I mean, The Simpsons also hasn't aged very well.
I'm pretty sure the Mad game wouldn't age very well either. There's a bunch of those. Those are like the 80s and 90s.
I'd say the Mad game probably aged either well or awful, depending on how you feel about that context of that game.
That's true. What did you ever feel about Mad Magazine? That's a good question. I found it to be a mixed bag. My dad loved the humor. I was like, some of it's hit and miss. Often.
Yes. So, regale us with this massive list of topics.
Well, How about oh Jesus.
Keep in mind we have 4 whole people here.
I know.
Yeah, we got 4 people. It's not just
I know.
2 old people.
Hey, you know.
4th old person.
With the same opinions.
Same opinions.
Well, we could rage about something like Vampire 5e. We could talk about like
I haven't read that book in a long time, and I can only talk about the one game.
My favorite topic that I want to get at one point in time: exploring Thaco.
We need Umber.
No.
Right? We need Umber for that one.
That's simple. It's an old way to calculate that was...
It's also not that hard.
Don't let them know. You're ruining it for like tormenting people. Anyway,
just
for tormenting Umber. Hey, hey, here's a good one. I'm just gonna do this here, and we'll put it in deeper discussion in a second here. And this topic that I think would be an interesting one is, hey, playing your character like a person.
Oh, shit. I know so many people who don't do this.
Oh, God. As a person? Oh, I have to be a person when I play D&D? I have to do that every day.
I think it's the idea that the reason I put it on here originally, it's a lot of times you when you're playing a role-playing game, you're, doing your own thing, but it's the idea that you don't want to make such terrible choices that it takes you outside the character, and that oftentimes requires you to actually act like a real person would in a lot of situations, and that's not always easy, even if you want to do it, kind of thing.
I'm gonna tell you, I've made some decisions that I didn't know how to react to. You were in a game for one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there we go. Docket.
Although I could have reacted to that if the game went on longer.
Was it a wraith murder?
Some cursed berries that I consumed.
Ah, cursed berries.
God.
There was so much stuff in. We're talking about my games.
If that game had gone on longer and I had actually gotten a chance to speak without being talked over by an angry dragon more constantly, I think I could have done it.
There was a lot of angry dragonborn.
I had so many different ideas, and I feel like I only really wrapped up like 1.5 of them.
Hey, that gives me content for my game. Okay?
It technically does, yeah. Because like I had a well, part of the problem, it was slightly tangent-y, but it's sort of in topic here, is one of the players wanted to make a new character, and one of them died. So we had 2 new characters enter in, and they didn't have a super good integration episode. Like, one of them had a pretty good one, and the other one just showed up.
Yeah, the other one showed up and just followed us around.
And there was a lot of headbutting.
To be fair, our druid also showed up and followed us around, but that kind of fit Roval's character.
Yes.
Yeah.
Roval
Roval trying to be sacrificed to an angry fish god.
Yeah.
And you guys saved them, and they're just kind of like, hey, it's dangerous to be alone. So is it okay if I just kind of hang out with you guys? And you're like, yeah, sure, I guess.
We adopted the druid.
Yeah.
And that kind of was part of the character. It never really felt out of place.
And Roval was a little weird, a little quiet. Yeah, so it was just
a little weird. Yeah.
So it's you felt bad for the fellow because you're like, yeah, well, just stick with us. Yeah, it's fine.
And he put a fish skull on him.
Yeah.
It didn't come off.
And then he's probably dead.
Curse was removed with the spell.
Curse is removed, yeah.
And now he's probably dead somewhere with a whole bunch of horrible artifacts.
Yeah, a bunch of other cursed artifacts or something.
Yeah.
But there was a plot line that I had been setting up for a fair bit of time, several weeks. And I was doing writing, and there was effort made to get information about it in the game as part of downtime and stuff. And it kind of got to the point where people were there, going to go and find it, and some people weren't really sure what was going on, but they're like, yeah, we'll just do this. But one of them was so against it that it pretty much ruined it for everybody else. and you just kind of just didn't do anything.
Yeah, it was like most of the party. I think one character was like, "Yeah, we'll do this. It could be good." The others were like, "Yeah, you're our friend. We'll help you out." And I was like, "No, I don't wanna." That's what a big fuss about.
Yeah. There was one bit of fuss, and I think other than that, I think we would have all been okay with it. And it just killed. I think it killed the mood.
It killed the mood. It super killed the mood. I'm DM in this case. I didn't really want to run it anymore, and I put effort into this. And then the person who was going there for that, their mood was ruined. And then you have two people, the DM and one of the major drivers of this mission. Moods are ruined. It just kind of just destroyed the atmosphere. But I think part of it came to the lack of communication that was kind of happening towards the end of that game.
Yeah.
Where people were just kind of like, "Oh, we're the adventurers. We have to go and do these things," and that's kind of one of the reasons why, as much as I would have wanted to continue, because there was other storylines and plot lines I could do, it just felt like it would have been going through the motions, and no one was really into it anymore.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things that I think when it comes back down to the topic here, and this is very important about the topic, is that maybe it is good to play a person, but it's also important that even if you were playing a person, you play the right person, too.
Yeah.
Because you can easily clash with people if you're not careful, and easily get into situations where, I could be playing kind of like a douchebag character, but am I
Everyone loves the gnome, okay?
Am I a lovable douchebag, or am I just a douchebag, And there's a difference between that. One of them could work, because it's like you're kind of a jerk, but you have a heart of gold. You just do things in a terrible way a lot of times, kind of thing, something like that, and that could very well work. It's just that you gotta. It's not easy, and I feel like what I try to do when I'm playing a character is think of what that character would do a little bit, and then also think about how that character thinks. Now, the gnome is kind of insane that I've been playing.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Kind of?
Yeah.
Only kind of.
Only kind of. But my entire idea behind it is, I'm kind of a little crazy, but I've said I was literally raised by my mom raised badgers for a living, and just because she was lazy, left me with the badgers a lot.
She also named you Wolverine. No, she named you Badger.
No, she named me Badger. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your name is Badger.
Your name is literally
Wolverine.
Badger.
Yeah. Well, I mean...
Badger is something the gnome.
Badger the gnome, nickname Wolverine.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Who has the badger on his head.
I guess it's because I don't think she had a name for me, and just because I was in with the Badgers, called me Badger. Look, my character probably had a really awful childhood, honestly speaking, and turned out relatively okay.
Yeah. The folk hero. When I think folk hero, I think of a gnome wearing a badger, riding a chocobo.
I really am.
I mean, technically, it's an axebeak,
It's
aka
an axe
murder
beak.
bird.
However, for memes, the picture is a chocobo.
And technically, my badger is technically my toupee because I don't have any hair.
You keep putting that badger in harm's way. I'm giving it a stat block.
Gnome pattern baldness. But I mean, there's another thing too in playing your character. For example, a certain paladin who's traveling with a totally chaotic and borderline evil party.
Borderline.
One of them is evil, the other's chaotic.
One of them has said some things. The thing I will say about Badger is, Badger's weird and a bit crazy, but wants to do the right thing most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm chaotic good. Granted, I lean more into the chaotic because I fucking raised my badgers. But I want to do the right thing. And I'm probably an idiot. I think my intelligence is like the low one or something.
I could check.
Like an 8?
Oh, it might be the 8.
No.
I don't think it would be an 8 because y'all did point play.
Yeah.
Did we point? Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah,
point play.
y'all did point play.
I always forget what we do.
I tend to use point play.
We've been talking a lot. Erik, have you had experiences with trying to do this kind of thing?
So I think the way that you worded the topic, I find it interesting because usually I use the phrase "you should play your character like a player," because the reason I say that is because when you got into the heart of the issue earlier when you were talking about conflict. Conflict is super interesting in a game, but it's not interesting when the conflict grinds everything to a halt in service of nothing other than the person creating the conflict.
Like, small clashes can be good for character development, but when those clashes take up half a session,
oh boy,
and result in actual yelling, then it's a huge problem.
I think it's actually in between. I think that's what it is you're a player and you're a person. Your character, you have to think of both as a person, but you also have to think of it as a player too, in a way. It's like you have to balance out those two things to make it feel natural in a way in the game.
It is a cooperative storytelling game.
Yeah.
So you need to play a person with their own opinions. You also need to make sure you leave enough room to be willing to go along with what others want to do, so you're not ruining an experience for them.
I think the biggest way to avoid the issue is to have a session 0 and make it clear at session 0 what everyone's going to be like playing, what they're going to be about. That way, if you come to session 1 saying, I want to be the stereotypical paladin, I want to be a lawful good paladin, I seek out order, I seek out justice, I'm going to be lawful stupid. First of all, being lawful stupid isn't usually great just because it leaves it with people with not a whole lot of options with the way that they want to play their characters. But if you want to do that, you should come to that first game, and if somebody says, well, I already had an idea of like a chaotic neutral, like do your own thing kind of roguey character, and if your character's constantly going to be trying to slap me in irons every time I steal something, I feel like this could be a counterproductive game, because you can have those characters, that huge disparity you see like web comics, and you see like all kinds of stories where you have a character who's like a very like I follow the law character, and a character who's like the flippant sort of stereotypical chaotic neutral character, and you can have interesting conversations with that. But that's where Tansis' point comes into play, where you have to be a person in that moment. It just seems unlikely that a real person would be like, oh, you stole something, I'm gonna slap you in irons and drag you down to the constable, especially if this is like a party member, somebody that you've had to trust and you've traveled with. You might try to get them to like give it back first, give a stern talking to, like give them warnings. It's sort of like, you probably would try to converse with them first, and again, if they don't listen to you or like are very flippant with you, it can lead to more. But it's also like, maybe finding compromise sometimes between that, and compromise is hard in real life, but you need it sometimes. And you have to remember that comes in. Like, and I think another thing that's important to say is no matter the style, the gameplay, you're gonna have interactions with each other. You're gonna have some kind of character and personality. Even if you're doing like a dungeon crawl or like a hack and slash adventure, those things will come up. You are a team. You need to be able to act as a team, and that requires you to actually like interact and, to know what you're saying. And so like, even on those lower like tier where you've got a lot less role playing in your actual adventure, you still need something of it. You have to keep that in mind, the work together parts of it, and to act like a real person, because honestly speaking, if you don't, I mean, you're gonna get in trouble with the NPCs. Like if I'm just like,
Oh god. Like if I'm like, well, this fountain looks fine, I'm gonna poop in it. In the middle of town.
Yeah, this is kind of on a topic we talked about before with players and consequences.
Yeah.
But I unfortunately see it come up a little bit too often where it may be in character, it may be out of character, but for whatever reason the character does something weird and crazy or stupid, and then just kind of laughs about it like, ha ha ha, who's gonna stop me? I'm a super powerful wizard or something. And that really gets on my nerves.
I have seen many examples of that in games I've been a player in, unfortunately. And then one time it ended with someone getting mad at the DM for having consequences of their own actions.
Yeah, in those cases, the DM just really has to step in and slam down consequences. And if the PC complains, you say, listen, the D&D is literally all about interaction and consequence. And
rogue, because he went to the capital city, defaced property, and was arrested and thrown in prison for a week. So they spent their downtime week in prison, and they got mad at that because they faced consequences of their own action, and to them, that's not how D&D is supposed to work. Even though that's how life. That's how the world works. There's consequences for everything.
I think
if you go into a town and you murder all of them, and you're like, "Ha! We're victorious! We killed the evil town of goblins," and then like a hobgoblin army shows up and said, "Hey, are you the people who murdered that entire town of goblins that were under our rule?" Yeah, you are. Time to die.
I think it's the thing that like it's unfortunately something that is becoming a little bit more heavy nowadays is the video game side of things. Like, video game worlds, yes, there's certain ones that have some consequences, but there's some open-ended ones where there's like the power that they're think Skyrim. You know, you get to a certain point in time, you just fuck the guards. You could do whatever the fuck you want. You could murder an entire town, except for the critical NPCs, you know, or something like that just knock
that's
down.
what mods are for.
Yeah.
But you could do that, and the fact is, that kind of thing, it's fantasy, but it ruins it, because it's sort of like, there are those consequences that are there,
fantasy.
And maybe you have gotten to that power that's too powerful for it, but you have to be like, the power fantasy shouldn't be necessarily in the D&D, and by the time you get to that level where you might have that power fantasy, your character should have enough experience to not do shit like that.
Yeah,
you know?
Like if you are, let's say you're like a level 15 dude, right? And you start going power mad, start killing people. My reaction to that is, okay, you can do that. And then I'm going to start sending high-level adventurers after you, because guess what? Now you've become a villain. That's your consequence.
It comes down to that. I think that's all this is all about. Like, this entire topic is all about, like, a lot of choices and consequences that exist, and acting under the understanding that even if it's a fantasy world, it is a living and breathing world that has its own set of rules. And, like, that's why acting like a person in it is acting like a person in that world. Acting like a player is understanding the rules of that world, you know? And also the rules of, like, the rules that are, like the universal rules that are around you. And I think it's knowing these things that you end up with good characters, and you don't butt heads with your other players. Mm-hmm. You don't butt heads with your DM. And there are games for those power fantasies. You have to find them, but there are ones that are like, you play the villains and you go and murder entire towns and stuff like that. You can have games like that. You can have, the games where you have to, like, there's an adventure where you have to steal the crown jewels of, like, a kingdom. That could be an adventure you're on. Why are you doing it? It's the adventure, you know? It's what the DM has said. This is the adventure. This is the one that we're running, you know? I'd make a character for that. You're not going to have the paladin on your team for the crown jewel stealing.
I have an evil paladin.
Yeah, I guess you could have an evil paladin, technically. But not the lawful stupid one.
No, you'll have like the dick bag.
You'll just have regular stupid.
I mean, well,
regular stupid.
I think this conversation is part of a larger one that I think a lot of D&D groups need to have. It's less of a problem with people who have been playing together for a while, but D&D groups need to be able to have session zeros where they discuss things like, because if you want to have a game that's like, I want to run around and be a clown human being and just try to fuck with the world as much as possible with as little consequence. You can do a game like that if your DM is prepared for that and the other PCs are prepared for that kind of game. You can run a game that's incredibly strict, where you could run like a Dark Sun or some system like that where it's incredibly strict rules and there's going to be a lot of survival elements. You can do all that stuff, but you have to like discuss this stuff in advance. And I think that's probably the biggest way to avoid the problem of having people play characters whose conflicts are going to be distracting versus engaging, is that you have that session one where everyone says, here's the kind of player I want to play. They don't have to divulge their whole backstory or everything like that. They just say, I want to be this type of character. Is that going to be a problem for anybody? And if there is a problem, then the person who's being more extreme in the circumstance has to be willing to compromise. So to bring back my old example where somebody wants to play a lawful stupid character, if you want to play the lawful stupid character and somebody says, I want to play this character who might bulk at your opinions on them, and then it's up to the person who's lawful stupid to say, okay, well, maybe my character is the type of character who has his own very strong personal beliefs, but he doesn't evangelize them. He doesn't force his beliefs onto other people. If you're not harming somebody, so if you like steal from a hungry person, I might intervene. But if you steal from like a shop and it's like an apple or something, I'm gonna roll my eyes. I'm gonna maybe chastise you, wave my finger, but I'm not gonna slap you in irons or anything like that.
And you might go back and give the money to the shopkeep, that too. Just like leave some money for them or something. But I think
you overpay for your apple or whatever. Yeah,
I think it comes down to something like I'll give my example of Badger, since we did talk about Badger, the character. When I came into Badger, the way I play Badger is, when you break it down, is Badger's weird. Badger says weird stuff. Badger plays like a standard kind of person that has like a very like Robin Hood idea of the world, tries to just do the good, with whatever means, and just adventures, and is like explorer. Like the essence of the character and how they act is incredibly simple and is easily fits in with everyone. I just add on top of that, he's kind of a little weird and nutty. And probably has like a little bit of like a mixed up worldview, because he was as like for the first like 5 years of his life, he was like raised with a group of badgers.
Doesn't believe in ghosts either.
Mm-hmm. Ghosts aren't real; they're shadows and wraiths.
Only wraiths are real.
And there's no such thing as werewolves; they're werebeavers.
That's
supposed to just be with my gnome culture. That's what I knew about. I'm like
every major historical event is it involves gnomes.
I don't think I knew all the ones I knew about.
Yeah, the ones you know about all involve gnomes.
Yeah.
You're just kind of playing a wild man, apparently. You just grew up in a forest.
Yeah.
There's like all these like fancy gnomish cities and like gnome and dwarven like fortresses or whatever. You grew up in the woods.
I feel like
your mom was like a crazy hippie druid or something.
Yeah, I feel like she's a crazy hippie druid, and it was probably like a small like druidic colony. Honestly speaking, is what it was. She was like part of the hippie colony. But see, like, it's like I kept that idea that my character is still it goes along with people, very well and very easily. And I chose that early on as that kind of base. So I wasn't, with my weirdness, I wasn't trying to create those issues. And, like, so you can have very unique characters with this, too. You just have to, like, be smart about it, I guess.
Badger is not the disruptive type of weird. It's more of the, like, double take weird. Like, wait, what?
Yeah. And I think I think it's just that you have to play something that just works, you know? And I think that's the unfortunate thing that does limit sometimes characters. Because unless you're playing on your own with just you and a GM, there are certain character archetypes that probably don't work for a story.
Like, for example, a lawful good person who doesn't want to murder every single person they come across, and for the most part believes that justice and goodness are a thing, and is with a party of just chaos and execution of prisoners.
Honestly, only one prisoner has been executed.
And only one person did that.
For the most part, you guys have taken people alive.
Yeah.
Look,
everyone didn't like that.
No, yeah.
My character
doesn't. No, my character doesn't.
No one liked it.
No one liked it. My character doesn't know about it.
With that.
Yeah. But, so yeah, I think that kind of hits on our topic there. I think that's actually a really good discussion on the entire thing of like playing your character as a person and a player. I think that I should edit that little title for it.
You can take it off the list.
Yeah.
No, it stays on the list forever.
I mean, the list is still like a good 30 topics. And
the list is ever growing.
I mean, it does. I use them up and add a few here and there when I come up with a good topic. But anybody bring a Kickstarter? I did not.
I don't have a Kickstarter, no.
I did not know that was something I should have done.
It's something that we sometimes do.
I talked about the one Kickstarter I didn't put last.
Yeah, but
is the Quest on Omicron still going on?
It is still ongoing.
Yeah.
I intend to back it at the end of the
Yeah,
so.
It's really a callback thing when every week me and Joe would like bring a Kickstarter forward, and now it's just like if I notice something really cool, I do like mentioning it and giving it a shout out, or like a company that I know about or something that's doing a Kickstarter that like I enjoy their stuff.
It's not a requirement. We often do not talk about Kickstarter.
Yeah, we often just like I don't have a Kickstarter.
Yeah, but we do talk about our week in tabletop. Did anybody play anything last Saturday?
I feel like I didn't play any D&D
I did something
last week.
Sunday, but not Saturday.
We have someone for a Sunday. What did you do on Sunday?
I was mega sick brain, so I don't remember all of it. But we went through a forest in our cart and encountered a robed man who sicked like a bunch of weird giant spiders on us, and Lynn's character got bit by a phase spider and almost got one shot.
Oh,
neat.
Was
it a critical?
Phase, yeah, it was a critical. We didn't long rest because it was still the same day as the previous encounter. We had the murder of a very buff kobold.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was a crit and a high damage roll.
The tales of this game will only become better over time because the person who's running it is very aggressive.
They are. Oh my god, there's so much combat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we fought like 3 spiders. One was like a balloon spider that kind of floated in the air. And I forget what the other one was. But we killed them. The phase spiders are scary at low level.
Yes, they're scary in general.
They're more horrifying in Pathfinder because they have a person face.
Oh, that's true. In Pathfinder,
oh, that's right. Oh, it's awful.
In 5e, they have a spider face. In Pathfinder, they have a people face.
I forgot they have a people face in Pathfinder.
They also just disappear for free in Pathfinder.
They do just
you can't attack them,
yeah.
which is really stupid.
I don't know what you're talking about. They're friends that'll show up and not show up.
No, they're awful. I hate them.
I also remember something else. I found in the session previous, I had found a black book with like a dragon face on it. That was whispering to me in Draconic. So in the middle of a cart, I started reading it, and then everyone saw me because I was like entranced by this book. Take a knife, cut my hand, and sign my name in blood in the book, and everyone just like looked at me do that and was like, what are you doing there? And I just said nothing and was like, I'm gonna say nothing and pretend this never happened and hope it goes away. Because that's the kind of character I'm playing.
Weird that no one in your party would like try and stop you from slicing yourself to pieces.
No one stopped me, which was weird. But then after forest spiders made it to a little town where nothing really happened. We met some gnomes. It was a gnomish town.
Oh, I was gonna say, is it a goblin town? And then you murdered all the
It
goblins?
was a forest gnome town where they live in trees, but they have like the tiny door for like gnomes, and then a bigger door for like big people. Which was weird. But we didn't spend time there. We spent like a day there, just staying in and then left. And now we're in the capital city of a country that is at war with my character's country. So if someone finds out, I might get viewed as a spy. Which is
That's probably fine.
not good. We also, on the way to the city, passed by a forest full of hanging bodies of traitors and spies. Because the country we're in is, like, really imperialistic, evil country.
Ow!
Yeah, they're not good people.
Anybody else play on a Sunday?
The Sunday game got canceled.
And it might happen.
I didn't play it all, but when we get to Tuesday, I want to talk about something coming up next Tuesday because that's very excited about.
Yeah,
next Tuesday.
Monday my Pathfinder Second Edition game ended up getting canceled. We were going to start playing, but one of our players was late, and then our DM got sick. So she was like, you know what? I don't want to be interrupting and running to the possible bathroom or hanging around there with everybody.
That's fair, honestly.
Yeah, and we're
just
like,
get a laptop and run your game from the bathroom.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just mute whenever bad things happen.
Tuesday, I did have Star Trek, which it was expected yet unexpected. Like, I think other people were saying expected. I'm like, it's Star Trek. They're gonna have it. Like, the person that we were like, this could be really bad with, we're like, we should be prepared just in case it's really bad, was like, it seems like they're not so bad, but also possibly still bad, kind of thing.
Oh, they're definitely still bad.
Star Trek.
Yeah.
They're just not gonna scramble your brains bad.
Yeah. I don't think we did anything else other than deal with that crap. That was the entire
You
session.
had Children of Wrath. Not Children of Wrath.
That was, didn't it?
Is it? Thursday.
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 Children of Wrath.
I had Children of Wrath.
I think anyone did anything on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I didn't.
I didn't have any games at all.
Unfortunately, yeah, I had to cancel my Thursday because I got called into work, and I'm not in a position to refuse that right now.
I had a shorter session on Thursday then, where we got to the druid place.
A dude who has an army of squirrels.
Yes, a dude who basically is he's pretty much like a 20th level druid who hangs out in this forest.
He has a party squirrel though.
Yeah, he does have a party squirrel. And he can summon forth all the squirrels of the forest to his army. He could,
right.
Army of squirrels if he needs to.
When the bear and the tiger came out, I was very tempted to just say, if you're a druid, you have to tell me it's the law.
I was waiting for the lion, tigers, and bears, oh my joke.
Uh-huh.
It didn't happen, though. I was sad.
Look, it turned out to be a druid with a lion, a tiger, a bear, and a squirrel. Yeah.
He did threaten us that his army of squirrels does like to nibble on lower bits.
I think that's just a threat.
Specifically nuts.
Yeah.
Nuts.
He also had trouble being like, are some of you not males?
Dude,
They're very
it's been in the
old
forest
and
for like God knows how many years.
At least 2 decades. He's like, I can't recognize other people as genders anymore.
He's truly ascended.
He's truly ascended to crazy levels. So any other games this week? Anybody have?
I didn't play any games, but let me tell you about a game that I have coming up this Tuesday.
Ooh.
So I'm running a game on Zero Doxy's channel. It's going to be the first stream game I've run in a while, where we do this thing where we play 5e, but we reskin everything. So we did we did one that was supposed to be like inside like a computer where they were all like computer programs and stuff like that. We did one where they were it was basically Redwall, where we played like different animal creatures, and we just finished one where we were all like toys, so it was like Toy Story but like a D&D adventure. This one is going to be a prison break, but also everyone's alien, so it's going to be everyone breaking out alien prison. It's called Escape from Planet. It's called Escape from Planet 669.
Nice.
I don't want to spoil too much, but there's a literal 2 players are playing Krang.
Hell yeah.
One's playing the brain, one's playing the body.
Jeez.
And so please, I'm posting the link to Nacy channel in chat. Go follow and watch that game.
We have the permissions. We have permission in it.
Do I not? I just.
You can post it here, and one of us mods.
Yeah, the mods.
I just did.
Yeah, but it gets deleted.
Did it delete? It doesn't delete on mine. That's so weird.
Yeah, I deleted on mine though. I keep forgetting. I keep forgetting how to give the permissions for links and stuff.
Don't worry about. I will
figure it out.
You just post it in the Discord.
But stop by next week.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hilarious. It's gonna. These guys have all. I don't want to spoil anyone's characters. I just will love the Krang one so fucking much. I need people to know about that. My fiance Erin is playing the brain half of Krang, and Zerodox is playing the body half. And it's gonna be fucking amazing. The other 2 characters are just as good in their own right, but that one's just I love telling people that because I allowed a lot of bullshit to fly for this to work, and it's gonna be just amazing. We're using some of the new Tasha's psionic stuff. So that's a lot. That's gonna be a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff going on. Definitely stop by. I think they do like between 4 and 8 session arcs of these ones, and we've done a bunch back to back, and they're all just a ton of fun.
I'm like Tuesday is just a cursed day. for me specifically.
Like I caught a little bit of like the computer one, a little bit of the toy one. It's fun sessions. Interesting stories when I could pop around. Tuesday has been so busy for me for the longest time. God, now I have Star Trek in the evenings. It's like my Tuesdays have cleared up. I don't know what to do with myself half the time anymore. Anyway, I'm gonna
Tuesday morning.
I'm always busy.
I'm filling myself with some schedule that I will throw out here for something new next week too. Wednesday at 8 p.m. next week this upcoming week is gonna be Pathfinder First Edition. We're doing pirates.
Pirate time, baby.
All of these idiots.
Yeah, hey.
It's
so excited.
So this is going to be my version of the Skulls and Shackles adventure path. I'm doing some deviation from it and some like adding some.
You really should.
It'll probably like a lot of the deviations will be like there. So like if you've played it, probably the major story beats are going to kind of be the same. But like a lot of little details in here, and some of like the encounters and stuff will be definitely different, and definitely the way the first part of the game is played will be different. I'm gonna kind of speed through some stuff, I'll say, and probably not horribly punish players the same way it does in the normal book.
You rolled bad. Time for punishment.
It's rather
the dice
like
didn't like you.
It's rather
box you go.
For me. It's rather than like you can still do your job. If you roll bad, maybe you can't do your job in something else, kind of things. You know, it's like you don't have time to do other stuff because you didn't do your job well enough. Where you can make that check to be like, oh, I managed to do my job, and maybe I'm like, having a nice conversation with someone else there that I'm trying to be like, hey, want to be friends on the ship, other NPC that I might be able to exploit and use in the future if something goes wrong.
Or maybe you get your job done early.
Yeah.
I feel like my character is going to be very ill-equipped to do anything, but he's going to be so competent
the
at
amount
what he does
of
that
manual
labor.
Use him. Like, it's like swabbing the deck is a job, the rigging is a job,
and then my character's combat is going to be very effective for he said.
I'm going to have to ask at the beginning if anybody has profession cook, because if no one does, I'm going to have to look at whoever weighs the most. Because that is literally the way they choose the cook's assistant in the game, is like, who is the chubbiest out of all of them? They must love food. Therefore, they can cook.
My character is probably going to weigh the most, but he's not going to be the chubbiest. He's just going to be a big fuck-off dragonborn.
I know, you're a big lizard dude, so you're just going to be like, they're going to probably have you manually lifting stuff on the deck, honestly. Yeah. You're probably good for that.
My character.
I'm ready to die and roll new character.
Can't wait for someone to sneeze on your character.
Just like, shoot.
I'm gonna try something new with this character. I'm gonna try to play a character whose whole thing is that he has no personality in an interesting way. Because like I wanted to have low charisma, but I want the whole thing to be like, because he has one of the backgrounds where he, like, one of his family members was like a famous buccaneer at some point. And I want the whole joke to be that he's this guy who just was thrust in this family. They expected him to be this great pirate from a line of like dragonborns, but he's just so boring. he just not have a personality. He has no presence.
He's a regular dude.
He's this huge ass fucking gold dragonborn, because he's gonna be a gold dragonborn. So he like walks through, everyone's like odd for a moment, and then he just like completely like borks every social situation, and everyone's just like, oh my god, he's like barely a person. Just because I don't know why, that just sounds hilarious to me. Just this big, strong, like huge, like visually impressive person who just has no personality at all.
It's Return of Team 8, except for it's in Pathfinder now.
Team 8. Well, unfortunately, my charisma has an 8 in it.
Yeah.
I guess.
See, it's Team 8 charisma.
18 has an 8 in it.
Yeah. That doesn't mean you're good at social, though.
It's
I'm not a party.
So fun.
I did not go for that. I did not want to play another party.
I think
after Records of Evil.
Your face has like a charisma of 13, so I mean, like, that's gonna be a thing that it's like
so good.
It's fun with unoptimal, and the thing is, it's gonna be a campaign you don't necessarily need a face, but you know,
just playing a totally normal oracle with nothing.
They totally might just, like, honestly speaking. The, in quotation, face of the team might end up being you by, like, they make you the captain because you're the one that, like, has the good personality, but you don't say anything. You know, you're just like,
you're imposing.
Yeah, you're imposing. You're just like, and then the other one with the 13 crits is just like, the captain has commanded all of you to do this and this and this and this.
Well, I want to figure out. I think there's a way to get it to change your intimidate from charisma based to like strength based. I think there's a feat or something.
If you hit the gear, it'll bring down a thing.
Oh, I know how to mechanically do it in like the character. I'm talking about in the game.
There's a
trait, I believe.
There's like a trait that do it, and like there's also a feat where you can also add strength to it.
I think the
really hard.
Because than the trait.
Yeah, because the feat is, rather than replace it, you add both of them.
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up because I want to get it later on, because I want basically my character to, like, as he progresses, he just becomes naturally terrifying because he's just this giant fucking guy. I want to wield basically like a huge hammer where I literally like break the hulls of ships and like jump on their ships, and they're gonna be like, people are gonna like run over, like trying to fight me, and I just start slamming my hammer on the deck and just pulling up the boards of the ship and breaking it apart.
I just want the scene that I had in my first like seafaring game, where like our ship was attacked by a haunted ship, and like they put gangplanks over, and they were coming aboard, and our fighter this is like 3rd edition, our fighter just started moving forward and using like cleave and just started cleaving her way onto the other ship from the attack, and she's like, rah, rah. We were just like, are you fighting your way onto the enemy ship? Yeah.
I do have I do have two feats right now, and one of those feats is cleave. So
we also did decide last night that your character is the most handsome in the party.
Yes. I was trying to do it earlier, but it took too much time, and the joke was it already lost in the chat. But I was gonna Photoshop handsome Squidward face onto a red dragon's body.
Ah, nice.
But it took me too long, and the joke was already lost. I was like,
that chat was so long.
There's so many messages apparently.
Oh,
like
my
200 and something
and
messages
like,
or whatever.
Most of it was me.
Oh,
I mean, there was mechanic talk.
yeah.
the best part is
shields.
it goes dead for like 5 days, and then it's just like 200 messages over 2 days, and then
I want to ask like a rule question. And
Yeah,
then
what?
Three of
how
us,
do
three of us
bubblers
Google.
work? And then like, blah blah blah.
And that question leads to more questions, and
Instead leads to memeing.
it leads to
then you
memeing.
look up rules where it's like, well, this is the baseline rule. Look if there's an exception to the rule, because the exception trumps the baseline rules.
Mm-hmm. But
Lord.
so, I think that kind of ends at our end of today. It's probably a pretty good little adventure here. We had some interesting.
I'm for Stellaris.
No, I
topics.
gotta go to work.
I moved my big birthday dinner to today. I did eat out with my family, but we just did something a little simpler. So we're traveling like 20 to 30 minutes away, for a little nicer of a place. By a little nicer, I mean it's just something that's not in our town.
You went Olive Garden instead of Taco Bell?
That's the
Hell
kind
yeah,
of thing.
dude!
Olive Garden
I
instead of
honestly, I was thinking Outback. I really love their
Bloomin' Onion?
well, the blue onion is good. I was gonna say their coconut shrimp because it doesn't taste coconutty.
Yep, coconut shrimp is
They
delicious.
balance out the coconut and the shrimp perfectly, and you never find another place that does it quite as well.
Look, I am basic. I'll just settle for Applebee's.
The closest
That's where I
freaking-
had last night was Applebee's because wonton tacos are the shizna.
Exactly.
Closest place Outback around here is like 30 minutes away because it's the other side of Phoenix, and I'm not driving 30 minutes to go to Outback. I like Outback, but I don't want to drive that far.
It's like because there's been like a lot of Fridays and Applebee's and Red Robin's nearby, and it's all the same.
Yeah.
So it's just there's a couple other places that are a little farther away. So I was thinking maybe Outback, but we might choose one of the other ones. There's a few others. We'll talk about it. But
Anyway, you can find more Tantus things here.
Oh, yeah.
On Tantus' channel.
Tantus' channel. Specifically, Saturdays are Discussing Tabletop with nerds like us. Wednesday is
8 p.m.
the new
game.
pirate game.
Skulls and Shackles, but not Skulls and Shackles.
Yeah, it's Thursday.
Thursday,
Gamers and
of
Manacles.
Wrath.
That's at 9 p.m. Yeah,
And you'll have other games such as the Shantae, the Russian genie.
I have been giving Shantae a Russian voice
at some point.
And
Stellaris
Stellaris at some point.
Stellaris.
I'm gonna say I think Shantae is definitely on for Monday. I don't know if I'll be doing anything else tonight. Depends on when I get back. Probably not stream wise. Might just hang out with people. And then tomorrow is really up in the air because I'm going to my grandmother's in New Jersey. And after that, when I get back, I'm meeting with friends IRL for birthday kind of thing for myself, so it's sort of like busy day tomorrow.
Fun enough. That's fun.
Yeah. Maybe see a few people I haven't seen in a while. Joe will be at least there, but I've seen him physically in a little bit, so I mean that's at least something.
That's so cool though.
Yeah. So at least Monday I'll be doing some Shantae, and I should be finishing that up, and I don't know what I'll do after that. If I finish up too early, I might switch to something else. I'll think of that.
Oh, and also go check out Zero Doxy this Tuesday, where you can find our boy Erik here DMing a crazy alien prison heist. Escape.
Anything else to shout out, Erik?
Come check me out at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. I'm going to be finishing up Resident Evil Village. I actually screamed last time I played that game, and I do not get scared very often from video games. It's not that it's a particularly scary game; it just really startled me. And, anybody who's played it, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will just say 2 words that anybody who's played it will understand why I screamed. I'll just say "big baby," and that is all I'm going to say on that subject.
Vampire Mom was too strong.
That game is very fun though. It's got Resident Evil 4 vibes and a little bit of scare, which is very much enjoyable. And coming
Village is very good
at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah.
And that's at Twitch Gaming.
Yep. I just said hello in chat so that people can just go.
Yeah.
There.
So Twitch Games. Anybody else have anything to shout out today?
No.
No, I don't do anything.
You should. What was that game?
Mm-hmm.
Bloodborne. Yeah. Somehow.
Buy me a capture card. And then
I don't have any. I mean, that's not true. I technically do have money, but.
If anybody wants to
buy me a capture card and then somehow get me time off of work.
I can only do one of those things.
But anyway.
I close for a living.
Thank you, everyone who joined us today. It was fun. Thanks, Erik, Lightning, Momo, for joining me. It was some good conversation, some interesting topics. I'll be back next week with some more people, and we're going to talk about more crazy shit and check out all that stuff during this week. It's going to be a busy one. But until next time, farewell. I hope you enjoyed the spectacular. It wasn't that spectacular, but I'm pretending it